Hey everybody. I saw a request on one of the Facebook pages about wanting to see a Schuyler Quentel that has had some use over the span of a few years. And so even though this kind of thing is way outside of my wheelhouse, I thought I would do just a few minutes of a video sharing my experience with this Bible. This is the Schuyler Quentel NIV. It's one of the older ones with the black liner. Maybe that's changed, I'm not sure. And I've had this for a little over 5 years. January of 2018 is when I got it. And it has been largely the main Bible that I've used for preaching, teaching, and daily Bible reading. And so I thought I'd just share how it's worn and my experience with it. As you can see, the cover has seen some pretty significant wear. This goes in and out of my canvas bag multiple times a day. The bag has these big, sharp, heavy zippers, and so it sees constant wear on some of the edges. I don't mind it at all. The first few were kind of felt a little bit like a bummer, but I quickly got over it. And as you can see, I do not baby this Bible whatsoever. I take care of it, but I don't baby it. And so you can see it's had quite a bit of wear on both front and back cover. The spine, as you can see, has seen quite a bit of wear on the vertical edges and the raised hubs. I've been really surprised the gold has lasted really well. There's a little bit of wear. You can see the edges of the pages have seen a fair bit of wear as well, but I don't mind that at all. You can see where I put my thumb when I flip the pages, probably sees the most wear in here. And some raindrops got on it a few times, and I do most of the cooking in the house, and so I've got some oil on there probably. Edges of the leather have worn really, really well. Yeah, the black has come off, and I know some have used a Sharpie to sort of tighten up the look, but I don't mind the wear at all. I really, really don't. So that's the cover. The inside liner, very similar. It's worn phenomenally well. There's hardly a scratch on it. This portion of the liner has seen a little bit more wear, and as you can see where it's put together, that some of the paper is coming apart, but it has not affected the durability of it, at least not at this point, and it'd be super easy just to put some archival glue in there and it would be fine. The hinges have broken in really well. I mean, the cover, you can go right down and it's not a problem at all. It's definitely softened up, even though it's goatskin, definitely softened up. So you can see just some of the wear. Yeah, January of 2018 is when I purchased it. So the cover has been phenomenal. The paper, equally as robust, has been my experience. The paper is not a super bright white. It's more of a creamy kind of color. And it has taken ink exceptionally well. I have not had a single place, even where I had a few mistakes and I scratched over it, I've really not had a single place where there has been bleed through. Like a lot of others, I use those Pigramicron pens. Anywhere from 005 to 002 is what I typically use. And even though there's some show through, I have not found it even in the least bit distracting. So the paper has taken ink really well. I've had no issues with it. And maybe in the Psalms in particular, I've had sort of the heaviest wear. And even then, there really is, see here, this is 02 or maybe even 03. And it has not been an issue at all. The other thing I'd say about the paper that I love on this older paper, this thicker paper, is that it is so easy to turn. I've got a couple of newer Bibles with the 28 GSM paper, and it is robust. I mean, I've heard people have questions about whether the paper is just too fragile. I found the 28 to be incredibly strong. I have not had a single tear or any erase mark go through or ink go through. I've just not had any problems with a 28 GSM, except that I found it, if you have even remotely dry skin on your hands, I found it sometimes maddeningly difficult to turn the pages. And I've never had this with this older Schuyler, just never had a problem turning pages. And on the newer paper, I do. Even after I've used the paper and read through sections multiple times, I still find sometimes the paper to be really difficult to turn at times and separate from the pages around it. There's only one little spot that I found a weakness in the paper when it's attached to the binding, and I'm pretty sure that this is the middle of a signature. I don't know if you can tell. Let's see how that comes up. And so when you close the Bible, you can see that one sheet just sort of sticks out. But the sheet is intact and it's not going anywhere. It just loosened a bit. But otherwise, like I said, the binding has been incredible, both front and back. Even in this spot here, where you can see a tiny bit of a gap, it's not affected, as far as I'm concerned, the durability of that binding. It is held really well. So this Bible is just something that does not wear out, has been my experience. And like I said, I don't overly distract myself with making sure that nothing happens to it. I mean, I use it and I use it a lot. And even though I take care of it, I'm not super careful with it by any means. The ribbons have held up really well too. I did take a match to the end of a couple of these. They've always been straight cut, not angled. But I did see after a while, and it's probably just from sitting, the ribbons sitting at the bottom of my canvas bag and rubbing, that they started to fray just a teeny bit. And so I took some heat to it and it fixed it, and they're perfectly fine. These other ribbons are from an Amazon insert that you can put into the spine, and it adds a few ribbons, which I kind of like. It's helpful for me. So I'll close with this. The one thing I would say is that this is, I think, as a very average size adult male, this for me is a little bit of a big Bible. Nothing approaching like a big study Bible. It's just a pretty big Bible. It has a good size footprint. It's fairly thick, and it weighs nearing 3 pounds. And so if that concerns you, that might be something to keep in mind. It hasn't bothered me. I hold my Bible and walk around preaching. Once in a while, it starts to feel a little heavy after 20 or 30 minutes if I'm holding it, but it's very manageable. It's just you have to know that it's a good size Bible, and so you should know that. And then the only other thing I would mention, as others have, is that the concordance is, in my mind, almost unusable. The print is just so small that unless your vision is like exceptional, my guess is that you're just probably not going to make use of the concordance too much. And how I've used it is simply as a placeholder for my own notes. So if I'm preaching on, say, grace, or I think I had one back here for the image of God, I make my own notes and then put it in the alphabetical location that matches that. And then I can kind of keep track of some of the notes I have. But otherwise, if I had to give this Bible a score, I'd give it like a, 9.9 out of 10. It's just, in every category, it has been a phenomenal Bible. It's held up so very well, and the readability is incredible. So I've been super happy with how this has worn over the course of about 5 years. So that's all. Hope it's helpful. Thanks.